Open your minds.
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
And so a community is where you control your police, you control your commerce, you control your education, you control your house. We don't control none of that. We live in a hood. Huh? Well, what about the Negroes that get out? Oh, well, say, my cousin, they say he's a multi-millionaire, almost got $1 billion.
The Proper Thought
3
Series.
PhDs, working on 2 more. Driving down the street in Chicago in his Rolls Royce, enjoying himself, and he hears these sirens and looks through the mirror and see this cop car flashing lights. He squeezed the steering wheel, man. Heart beats fast. Because he knows the plight of a Negro, what it could be. And then when that cop car passed him by, he said, thank God he wasn't after you in the first place, punk. That Negro thing you can't get away from. It's universal. They wasn't coming after you. With all your millions, with your Rolls Royce, with your PhD, didn't help. That's the hood. Why do you think you never pick up the paper to read over and over and see white families travel? You think there's thousands of black cops in America. Why don't you see white families crying as black cops shot my loved one 40 times in the back of the head? Why do you think black cops don't do that? You think they're more spiritual? Think they're better? No! They got enough sense to know that white folks ain't gonna tolerate it. And I will stop in our neighborhood when we decide we will not tolerate it. Now, if we was organized, which is hard to organize people who are just gonna run crazy and you don't know you're crazy. But if we were, with the money we have, and the many people who would come to our aid that don't know what it's like to be a Negro, and we said, if we said, look, we saying, if we don't get a federal law to deal with police brutality, that anytime a cop or anybody carry a gun, have to have a license just like you do to drive a car. And if you use it wrongly, you'll lose your license. And if it's upheld, you can never work again as a cop or a store guard or a private detective. How do you get Congress to push that through? Well, you take your economic power and you call on your friends, black, white, young and old, and say, this coming Christmas, if we don't have a federal law to outlaw police brutality by law, then we call them for a nationwide boycott of Christmas and it'll start on Thanksgiving. Well, let me tell you what that means. 79% of all retail in America happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People stay in business all year, lose money just for Christmas, huh? Well, what happens now? Saks Fifth Avenue, Toys R Us, Sears and Roebuck, Westinghouse. They will get the bill, and all they got to do is make one phone call and say, Harry, that's the senator, I want that bill pushed through in 3 days. Okay, it's an economic thing. It's that simple. But we have the power, but the system has wiped us out so bad.
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
Santana Lincoln 6. Go ahead. Clear suspect down, 10-4. That's 10-4. The officer's code 4. We have one suspect that's been shot.
Open your minds. And peace, folks, and welcome back to another edition of the Proper Thought Series right here on the old T.P.O.T. YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why your black asses are here. Tonight, interesting guest tonight, special guest, brother Semper Fidelis will be in the house tonight, live from Finland. But before we get started, Y'all know I always come on here, man, and thank y'all for your likes, your shares, your subscriptions, your views, and of course, your hard-earned pennies, nickels, dime, quarters, and 50-cent pieces. Because I realize you do not have to do it. You don't have to watch these damn videos. You don't got to show up to these damn streams. You don't have to share them. And you definitely don't have to drop your hard-earned coins on this platform. But you good folks, you choose to do so, man. You know? And I want you to know, man, that I'm humble. I'm honored. I'm grateful. I'm thankful and I'm appreciative, man, of all of you good folks, man. This channel's grown quite a bit. And I know it ain't all because of my black ass. I know it's because of the people who hang out there and the people who hang out in here. All right. So I want y'all to know, man, I don't take y'all lightly. I never have, and I never will. And I appreciate you, man. And I thank you. All right. All right. So let's get at it. But before we go, before we bring up brother Semper Fidelis, y'all, I'm gonna hit y'all in the head with some of T.P.O.T's programming notes. Because tomorrow, special guest is coming through. He hasn't been here for a while, but this is my brother. I actually know him in real life. The one and only Q-Butter will be in the house tomorrow. And we'll be talking about the Zyx Institute, man, and chopping it up. I actually was on the phone with Brother Q today. And yeah, man, it's been a while since me and him have talked. I haven't been to Zyx for, it's been close to a year and a half since I've been there. But yeah, because I actually know Q-Butter. And when I say no, I don't mean, we talk, on the internet. We actually know each other in real life. All right. Yeah, Brother Q will be here tomorrow night. Y'all know the time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. You Negroes know. All right. All right. So let's get at it without further ado. Let me bring in my folk. Brother Semper Fidelis, what's good with it, man? Are you there?
Hey, I'm here, man. You got 0.30, but actually, can you hear me?
Yeah, you fading in and out. You're fading in and out.
Well, Lex, can you hear me?
Oh, you're fading in and out.
Okay.
Can't hear anything.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Can y'all hear? Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Can y'all hear out
All
there
right.
in YouTube land? You YouTube folks, can y'all hear? Y'all hear out there in YouTube land?
Can y'all hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Brother Stoic said, yeah, he can hear us. All right.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah. Glad you're here, brother.
Glad to be here.
Now I know you live in Finland, right? Well, before we even go there, because I got a lot of questions I want to ask you. Before we even go there, for the people who don't know who you are, just kind of give a quick bio of who you are and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, I've been using this this label now, Semper Fidelis. Before I just simply had my name, Eric Ingham, on there. And I just, basically, I've been, listening to, how can I say, the Black Manosphere, all aspects of it. I mean, going back to TS and moving forward and whatnot, and made my way around these YouTube streets. I don't have my own platform or channel. Neither am I interested in having one, but I do take interest in listening to hearing what brothers and sisters from stateside have to say about what the human condition and the social dynamic is there. For me, for myself, I've been living here in Finland for, in Helsinki, the capital city, for damn near damn near 30 years. Wifey now will be celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary on the 15th of November. I came actually when I came here to Finland, though. I came here on military assignment. I came here as a Marine security guard on embassy duty at the American Embassy here. So it wasn't, I wasn't on the SYSBM tip. Hey, duty called, and here I am. And that was that
Yeah.
story.
Well, don't give it away, because I was gonna ask you about that. Don't give it away.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. I know, because I've talked to you. Full disclosure, y'all. Me and Brother Semper, we have spoken before. And I know, you're an ex-military guy. Decided to stay in Finland. And let me ask you this: is it true that Finland is the happiest country in the world? Because that's what it's billed as, right? The happiest country is in the world.
I'm gonna tell you like this. Sometimes it seems that way, but no, it ain't. That's not really true. I mean, the people who live here, I'll put it this way: the natives are pretty happy living here. Now on the other hand, the immigrant population, we're okay. Sometimes we have our issues here, but now as far as the happiest country on the planet, well, I beg to differ on that a little bit.
Yeah, because I was doing a little reading today, getting ready, to talk to you about this. And it was
I
like,
read that too.
The happiest country in the world. I was like, damn, I gotta ask him about that. So why did you decide to settle in Finland? Because my man Jay Shine is in Germany, right? So I know it's from talking to him, I know things are a little different, once you get over there in Europe. So why did you pick Finland? What made you say, you know what, this way I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna have my family, I'm gonna live? What made you pick Finland?
Well, the one thing that I did want to do was to get married and be a family man. Now, my wife is one of the girls who, she wants the American GI, but she doesn't want to go back stateside with the GI. She wants to stay home, And so basically my wife, when we were courting, after we got engaged, she asked me, was I willing to start life over again here? And the way I looked at it, it was like, yeah, it's a start over, but it's just a continuation. And so I said, I gave it some thought. And I said, well, I can do this, as long as I can keep in contact with my kith and kin, my mother and my father at home, that's the main thing for me. That was my main concern, keeping in touch with my parents and certain few other close family members, as long as I could do that, and as long as I could pick up this language, pick up the Finnish language and get work afterwards, after getting discharged and what have you, honorably discharged, then hey, I'll make a go of it. And so, the rest is pretty much history, man.
So you are a Finnish citizen then, right? Because you said you've been there for 30 years, right?
Yeah, but I'm on permanent resident status. I don't have, the reason why I don't have Finnish citizenship, because I really don't want to give up a U.S. passport. Because if it ever comes to a time where emergency or otherwise, that I or we go back and live stateside, then I want to be able to just go right through. And being on permanent resident status, it doesn't hinder me from having a livelihood, a place of work and things like that, so I can make my way through life here, So the only real thing that I can't do, I can't vote in in general elections here. I can't vote for the president, for example. But other than that, life moves on.
So how is it for a black man in Finland? I mean, like when you first started, I know you were a military guy, so it's nothing new for them to see, black military guys. But once you got out of the military and was just a regular black guy, how was it, starting a life, living a life, in Finland?
The difference was between day and night, Brother Xavier, because see, as a military man, okay, I live in this area called Lautasari, and basically it's like a suburb area there, and we lived in this split level house that the U.S. government is basically leasing from this little old lady who owns it, and they've been leasing it for a couple of decades now. But yeah, it's different, because people will ask me, why are you here? Why did you come here? What do you do here? Da 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 da. This, that, and the other. And these are random Finns that ask me these questions. And I mean, a lot of foreigners, they get that question. The Finns can be pretty damn nosy, man, when they see new faces here, especially new faces with brown skin. So, but no, what I'm saying is this. I mean, life changed, man, because now, I'm in society here. I'm in these streets of Helsinki, just like anybody else, just like any other immigrant, So the thing about it is basically, I had to make a way for myself. I went back to school, and I studied in the healthcare field. So I ended up doing care services. Actually, I worked in a couple of kindergartens, before I actually got, my residence and actually, could actually, get work here, because the rules here, as it is for around Europe in general, is that, well, here in Finland specifically, you got to live here 5 years with no break. You usually have to be married with a Finnish citizen for at least 2 years within those 5 years. Um, and then you go ahead and
I think
things like that.
we're losing you again, man. You're fading in and out again.
Am I? Damn, man. Okay. How about now? Am I still fading out?
No, better, much better.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Please continue.
All right. But yeah, I mean,
we're losing you again. We're losing you again, brother. You're fading in and out. Fading in and out.
Why does this keep happening?
Now sounds good now. I don't know what you just did, but it sounds great.
Oh, okay. All right. Can you hear now?
Yeah, now you kind of crackling a bit again. You wanna go down and come back up? You want to go out and come back in?
Yeah, let me do that, man.
Okay.
Let me go back.
Yeah, the brother's having some technical difficulties, so we're gonna try to figure it out. What's good, brother Art? My brother is in the house. What's good with it, brother Art? Yeah, we got brother Semper Fidelis up here tonight, brother Art, and we talking some Finland stuff, man. I like talking to brothers that's in Europe, man, and in other countries, man, because I know life over there is like way different than over here. Brother Semper, you back?
I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Yes, sounds great.
All right.
Go ahead. Please
Outstanding.
continue.
Yeah. Well, so like I said, I had to go back to school. I went to school. I started in kindergarten with
It's
happening again.
happening again, man. It's like your voice is speeding up and then it's fading out as it's speeding up at the same time. It's speeding up and fading out at the same time, and crackling with a little sprinkle of crackle.
I don't know what the hell's going on here, man.
Now, right now, you sound good. Right now,
okay.
Good. Right now, it's great.
Oh,
So
okay. but yeah, like I said, I eventually went into caring services, and so I've been doing that work here, and one thing I have to say is this: once you get a livelihood here, it doesn't matter the color of the mask. What matters is your work performance, your work ethic. That's what matters. You're getting paid on the same level with your Finnish compatriots, your Finnish workmates and what have you, and depending on how you do your work, that's how the team of people that's working with you, that's how they see you, because that's the only way they know you, when you're at work, when you're on the clock, and that's how you get to know them. And it took me a couple of years to gain a rapport between myself and the Finns that I was working with. And of course, caring services over here it's still pretty much dominated by women. So I'm working with women all day. And I'm doing three shift work as well, morning, evening, and night shift. And I mean, at one time in my workplace, the amount of men and women was like what, 10 women and 3 men on our crew. Always only been, 2 or 3 men and all these women working together. But I mean, it worked out well. Our supervisor was a woman as well. But I mean, it worked out well. You do your job well. You keep steady workplace, and you got a good reputation. I mean, it is what it is.
Mm. So do you feel the well, let me rephrase the question. I'm assuming you don't feel the bigotry and the discrimination to a degree that it would be in the United States, right?
No, I don't, and I'll say that a major reason for that is, I mean, listen, I mean, you got Finnish women who've been married to former American basketball players that come here to play on the Finnish national team. Former American football players who've come here to play American football here in Finland. And and those
There,
women
there.
who are married with, yeah.
No, you were speeding up and crackling and borging again. So
Oh, damn. How about now?
better, better. I don't know
Okay.
what you did, but
Yeah.
it worked.
This, yeah, this damn thing. I don't know. But yeah, so, I've seen a lot of young Finnish women, marrying Muslim men, from the continent of Africa. I've met a whole lot of brothers and sisters from the continent of Africa over here. I mean, from South Africa on up through, Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Cameroon. Uh, I've met there's one Turkish guy that worked with us for a while. I've met people from all over the world here, man. And in the beginning, yeah, you could feel the bigotry here,
Mm.
because they're wondering why you're here, and some of the older people in particular, they let you know that, well, they ain't all that comfortable with you being here. But when you are working with people, okay, in your work field, they got no problem with you being here, because hey, you doing the work, and it takes some of the workload off of them. Now when I came here in the '90s, one thing you couldn't do, from '91 through, I think, '91 through '95 still, if you were a foreigner here, um, you couldn't own a house, you couldn't own property. I found that rather strange, but that was the law. If you were an immigrant here, and you didn't, you weren't didn't become a naturalized citizen up until 1995, you couldn't buy property, you couldn't buy a house. You know, that's changed now over the years. But what I will say is this, though: I think Finland actually was better off and better maintained outside of the European Union than after it joined. Because I noticed over here, for example, every year or every other year, the roads here would be resurfaced. Okay, from the local neighborhoods, to the ring roads here, the highways and things like that. They used to re-asphalt the roads downtown on Mannerheimen. That's the main road going through Helsinki, the center of Helsinki. They used to change the cobblestone in the sidewalks, man, damn near every year. I see dudes out there working, hustling, man. The place was a little bit cleaner then. It's not nasty now, but the thing about it was cleaner. It functioned better, as its own individual sovereign country, than it's functioning now within the EU. And there are a lot of locals, especially the older ones, I would say anywhere from my age range, and above, like say up to 70 years of age, they see this shit, and even younger people, people in my age range and younger, they see it as well. When you give up some of your sovereignty to join a larger unit or a larger union, okay, there's certain standards drop, man, and certain standards here, maintenance standards here, infrastructure standards here have dropped a bit, so. But that's a consequence of joining something bigger than yourself, I guess.
So, what do you speak there? Do you speak Finnish or Swedish there, or both?
I speak Finnish. Normally, the kids here, when they even starting out in kindergarten, the Finnish children here, they have to learn both Finnish and Swedish because those are the two official languages of this country. Because back in the day, 19th century in particular, Finland was the Grand Duchy of Sweden. Finland was also a Grand Duchy of old Mother Russia. Back in the 19th century as well, it just switched from Russia to Sweden, and then it always had its own government. But still, it was like almost like, I guess you would say, like an annexed country or a satellite country connected to Russia. And then after Russia connected to Sweden, and then finally it gained its sovereignty. And in 1917, they had a big war here, between Finland and the old Soviet Union. And actually the Germans, the Germans, in the continuation war, which went from 1940 to 1943, the Germans, the Fuhrer, and his Nazi troops actually came over here and helped the Finnish military, the Finnish army in particular, fight against the Russians. And the thing about it is that, but the problem is this though. The Germans, oh boy, the memory doesn't serve me all that well down to the details. But for some reason, though, the Germans, they flipped on the Finnish government also, and so eventually, when all the dust was settled, in 1943, that war was done, and Finland has, like, if you can see the shape of the country, it had two arms. Okay, the left arm, belongs to Russia now, and it was basically reparation payments, and they had to pay the Russians millions of Finmarks when they had the Finmark before they got the euro. They had to pay out to the former Soviet Union, and they lost that piece of land. So. It is what it is, but Finland's sovereign, but we still, we got the Russian Federation and Putin to our east, and, and Sweden to our west, and Estonia to the south of us, so.
Now,
Life moves.
from from what I understand, Finland's a pretty expensive country to live in, as far as in like the European area, is it not? Or it's one of
Yeah,
the
it
most
is.
expensive countries to live in, right?
Yeah, it is expensive, and what makes it expensive is because well, one thing is the tax rate. The tax rate is pretty high. Okay, when I was working and I was earning what, let's say 40K a year, well, 25% of that went to taxes.
Mm,
Okay, so you can imagine if somebody making 60, that it's a graduated upward graduated tax system here,
mm,
and the lowest, I would say, the lowest tax bracket is about 15%. Okay, and
mm,
that's for people that's making, I would say half to like 25K a year. Um, they pay that, but I mean, anything 40 and above, I mean, yeah, you're paying 25 to 40% in taxes. I mean, the social welfare system here, it's pretty expansive in comparison to stateside. It's not as large as some other European, particularly Western European countries, because of course the population here, it's less than 6 million altogether. That includes all the immigrants and everybody else. So we got right now, it's like 5.6 million people um, living in Finland, the entire
mm.
population. So you can fit the population of Finland inside of NYC, the five
Yeah,
boroughs. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Mhm. So it's
So
a small. Yeah. Go ahead.
do you do you I mean, are there a lot of expats there? Like, is it a place where, because you always go to other countries and then people say, "Oh, there's a lot of people, from the U.S. here." Is Finland one of those places where you actually run into a lot of people from the U.S.?
Well, I'll put it this way. In comparison to the whole population, no, it's quite small. I mean, you
Mm,
do have, like I say, you like as far as military, by military, it's infinitesimal. I mean, I won out of maybe a couple hundred,
mm,
throughout the country. When it comes to expats that were athletes, whether playing American football, American basketball, um, there's a few, there's a few more of them, but most of those guys, they came here in the anywhere from the early '80s, you know, up through the '90s and what have you. And I know I know most of these brothers, and they've had families, they've married, some have married and divorced, but they have children here, you know. I know them, quite a few of them. I know their children, their children know my children at least, and of course they come into contact with each other, when they're in school, and of course as they get older, the older teenagers and whatnot, and they go to the teen clubs and whatnot, they meet up with each other and stuff like that. So of course, once the kids meet, quite naturally, the kids are going to ask, well, who's your father? Who's your daddy? Who's your mama? Da, da, da. And so you start meeting people, and actually my wife, um, she introduced me to some expats from, for example, from Britain, and they came over here to escape being conscripted into the British military, and they've been living here, damn, 40 years, you know. And a couple of those brothers, they've passed away, God bless them. But so I mean, there's a small group of expats over here, not very large.
mm, okay. Well, I know it's one of the safest. I know they rate it as one of the safest countries in the world to be living in. Not a lot of crime and all that kind of nonsense, right? They must not have ghettos.
Yeah.
They must not have
Well,
ghettos. So
well, I mean they do. But the setup is different. I mean, you got areas that are apartment blocks and stuff like that. And in fact, some of these areas, they're pretty rough looking, but it's only because the areas that are ghettos here were areas that were built up rather quickly in the 1960s and 70s when people were moving from the farms, in the countryside and moving to the cities to go to Helsinki University and different universities. And also, people were looking for work because basically Finland went from an primarily agrarian society to a tech society,
Mm.
And so, of course, of course, you had an industrial society here too, but it was primarily technical. And so, of course, people left the farms. Younger generations of people left the farms, and they came to the cities. When they came to Helsinki, and they went to school and studied. Studied the tech field and things like that, and started living here. So you had to build the buildings quickly. So you got a lot of apartment blocks over here that were built like in I would say from the mid '60s, throughout the '70s and what have you, and but the apartment blocks they're not tall, skyscraper type high rise buildings. I mean, most of these buildings, one building that I know of, it's about 20 stories, but on average, you're talking about 8 to 10 stories at the tallest, in the apartment block areas, and these areas here, you can look out your window and you can see the woods, and you can see the hares, you can see rabbits running around. Every once in a while, you see a red fox running around. You see, if you go down by where the creeks are, you'll see the mallards there, and from late winter to early spring and throughout the summer. I mean, it's the places are built nature oriented. You got trees around. You got the dirt paths that you can still walk through. People usually walk their dogs through the dirt paths and whatnot, where they don't have areas, like dog parks and stuff like that, which they do have quite a few. But I mean, so the even the hoods here, they're built differently.
Mm.
There's not as many people living on top of each other.
So, being that you've been in Finland for 30 years, that would probably make you one of the original SYSBM brothers.
Yeah,
That would
I
make
guess. Yeah, I guess I'll be in that category. But see,
we're losing you again, man. You're bogging out again. You're breaking up again.
damn,
It's going
man.
good too. It's going good too.
Oh, okay. Am I still bargaining now?
You sound good now. Sound great now.
Okay. Maybe I just ought to stay closer to my laptop here. But yeah, I told people, I said, hey, listen, I didn't come over here on the SYSBM tip. I just, this is a duty station for me. I came here. My mission was a military mission. Now, yes, I met my wife over here, stayed over here, but that wasn't the plan from the jump. It just it worked its way into that though.
Mm. So,
But
do you
yeah,
ever get back? Do you ever get back to the States at all?
oh yeah, I've been back. I've been back to the States at least twice with my family. My mom has been here a couple times.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So, I was asking you earlier about the bigotry and the discrimination and stuff like that. Now, when you're in your your normal travels, like say you're going shopping or something like that, I mean, what's the difference between doing that there and doing it here in the States?
What's the difference is It's really there are no white and black neighborhoods, man. They parcel people
Mm,
out. For example, man, when immigrants come here, whether whatever this immigrant status is, they sprinkle them out throughout the neighborhoods. They don't keep one group of people, like Africans here and Afghans over there and Chinese over there and that type of thing. They sprinkle it, they pepper them into different neighborhoods. So this way you don't have the blocks like that. You don't have the formalized ghetto setting, if you will. Not meaning that ghetto, not as in ratchet, but ghetto as in the system where you got enclaves of one group of people here, another group of people there. They're not parceled out like that. They're parceled out like as they come. They're parceled out to different places, and of course the population rises, as more immigrants come. But still, they spread them out pretty evenly throughout the country.
mm. So I'm assuming, of course, you're not the only black. You and your family aren't the only black folk there. So there's no quote unquote black places or black enclaves, right? Everybody's pretty
No,
much mixed together. Okay.
yeah, that's how it is here. Yeah,
But you
and
said they don't really
yeah,
care about your color. They're more focused on your productivity. You said, right? What
yeah,
you do.
yeah, yeah. Once you're here and you're legally here, what you will learn is that over here they said it takes a while to gain a rapport with Finns, but once you gain a rapport with them, you got a friend. I got to say that's true. Um, it's been that way for me. Of course, since COVID hit, I mean, mostly I've been, communicating with people through Facebook. But the places that I've worked here, my colleagues, they get in contact with me on Facebook. As a matter of fact, the one place where I was doing the care work, I remember my colleagues over there used to ask me all the time, Eric, do you got Facebook? Eric got Facebook. Why don't you get Facebook? Why don't you get Facebook? I said, I don't want Facebook. Facebook, people get into your business too much on Facebook. And finally, I did get Facebook. I don't use it all that often, but my past colleagues, they write me on Facebook, and all the time. When I answer back, how you doing? They say, how you doing? Da 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 da. What's going on with you? And how's your family? Da da da. I'm back and forth. Um, it is what it is. Now, if you out here acting a fool, just like anywhere else, if you're misrepresenting yourself, by acting the food in the clubs, the bars, or just out in public in general, yeah, you're gonna catch it. You know what I'm saying? People ain't gonna like that shit here, and they're gonna let you know they don't like it. you know, most of them do it by calling the police to handle those situations. But I mean, yeah, you get people who get this in their scuffles from time to time out on the street, but it doesn't happen very often.
Would you suggest that a brother come live in Finland?
I mean, if you got skills, if you got tech skills and stuff like that, you've got skills in the care nursing sector, that type of thing like that, and you want to give Finland a shot, yeah, it's a good place. It's a good place to live as far as having the workplace, but you got to realize that the population is much smaller, and you got to get used to living around a whole lot of white folks. That's all.
Yeah. There is that.
Yeah, there is that indeed. Yes.
But I don't think brothers would have a problem with that, because if you unless you're in, say, because I know most of the brothers that I know, right? The brothers that are doing well,
Right.
most of them don't live in all black neighborhoods anyway. I mean, at the very least, they live in a mixed neighborhood, and at the very best, they live around a bunch of white folk.
Right.
Me myself, I live in a mixed neighborhood. I don't live in a neighborhood that's all Negroes, you know.
Right.
Um, and those neighborhoods are different. Now, I've lived, you know, in my life, I've lived in quite a few, you know, different. I've lived with purely Negroes, and it probably was the worst thing I ever did, and I would never do it again.
Mm,
Um, Now, I'm not too keen about living around all white people either.
right.
I'm more privy to mixed neighborhoods. You know, there's a little bit of everybody. There's white folks, there's Latinos, one or two Asians on the block, and then some Negroes. I can deal with that. Yeah, I can
Well,
deal with that. You know.
check this out, man. At one time, I was living one time. You know, we had, we had friends.
Losing you
Oh,
again. You fading. You fading again. You fading again,
oh
brother.
man, how about now?
Yeah, it's good. You got it.
Okay. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, we had what was it? Okay, we had Russians, Somalis, Finns, the Finnish Roma, or what the Europeans call gypsies, uh, all living in the same neighborhood. The kids played together. You know, kids are kids. Kids don't care about the mask. Kids care about what you're doing when you're playing. If it looks interesting to them, looks like fun, they want to join in. So when the kids, of course, when they join in with each other, eventually you're gonna meet the parents because the parents gonna be outdoors. You know, if the kids are really young, the parents are gonna be outdoors. You know, looking out for the kids. You know, it's you know, especially the mothers. You know, if you know, the fathers are out working and what have you. But even on the weekends and stuff, you know, when the whole family is home, you know, mother, father, and the children are at home, they're gonna be out there playing together, and eventually the parents are gonna meet up. You know,
Mm.
and so the parents meet up. You know, and basically, grown folks are grown folks, man. Either they're gonna accept you or they're not. Okay, but usually if they accept you playing with your children playing with their children, then they're going to accept you. If anything, for the sake of the children, you know, having fun together, playing together, and whatnot, going to school together, that type of thing. These everyday mundane things that affect your life, though, you know, for a lifetime, for as long as you live here, for example, you know, or anywhere else in the world, you know. So, you know, that's it in a nutshell, you know.
Yeah, well, you often hear on, you know, the old internet,
Hmm.
people talking about, you know, moving, you know, relocating to another country, and but you came via the military.
Right.
I think it's a little different when you're just talking about, you know, just packing up and, you know, leaving. I think that's totally different.
Oh yeah.
Um I think that's totally different because I know when my man Jay Shine, when he moved to Germany, I mean it took
Right.
a few weeks for him to get, you know, everything over there, you know, his cars, you know, and all
Mhm.
his stuff from his place and all that kind of stuff. You know, it
Right.
took a while for him to get all his stuff, you know, over there. So
Hmm.
I, I think it's something to consider, you know, when brothers want to move to another country. It's not like, you know, moving to another state. You know, it's going to be a little more
Right.
difficult than that.
I would
Um,
say, I would say, if
but
anything, come and visit the place first. Visit the
yeah,
place, come and look around, learn about the culture. Okay. I mean, if you're men folk and you straight men folk, of course you're gonna check out the ladies, but check out how the ladies move. Look at how people interact with one another, the Finns and the foreigners, or whatever country you go to, and their foreign population. See how these people move. Learn about the culture first, and then make your decision as to whether you're ready to make that jump or not. Because it's a risk. It's always a risk factor there, you know.
yeah,
So just have to keep that in mind.
yeah. Especially when you're talking about going to Europe, you know, especially those folks who, you know, the ones who love white folks, idolize white folks, and fear white folks all at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
y- you're going to Europe. You're going to be around a lot of white folks. Keep that in mind if you plan on
Oh,
heading that
indeed.
way. Yeah, you heading that way. You're probably going to be
Mm-hmm.
around a lot of white people, so you might want to you might want to think about it very, very
Yeah.
deeply and clearly before
Yeah.
you do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Check this
Go
out,
ahead.
brother X. My mom came here for a month. I think that now it's been like 4 years ago, and she came in the month of July, and she wanted to go to Georgia, right? Um one of the Commonwealth of Independent States of Russia in general, right? But when we found out, how much the flight was going to cost, hotel and all that type of stuff, and we weren't going to be there, but for a couple of days, we decided no, we'll go on the ferry and we'll go to St. Petersburg, okay, to go visit our neighbors to the east there. And we went there. We were only there for like a day and a half, though. She just wanted to check out and see what it was like. And so I went with her, and I went together. And I walked through the center of St. Petersburg for 4.5 hours. Ain't nobody said shit to me. You hear what I'm saying, Brother X? People looked at me. I'm guessing maybe I was somewhat of a novelty because there's not a whole lot of black folk living permanently in Russia. You do have the African brothers there who are students there, so of course they're living there. I just noticed I was doing some research, and I saw that there's some sisters and brothers who actually moved to Russia when it was the Soviet Union, and they said they were moving there to get away from the racism stateside. You know what I'm saying? And they've been living there. One woman, she's in her 60s now, close to 70. She's been living there for like what, damn near 40 years. And some other people have been there 10, 15 years. You know, I didn't see these particular people in the flesh, but I did meet one brother. I was at the hotel one of the restaurants across from the hotel where my mom and I were staying, and I did meet one brother, and he was traveling with his daughter, and they went to Moscow first. And then they came to St. Petersburg. We just happened to be eating dinner at the same time. So I rapped with him. And so I said, well, I was kind of, I said, I do have a curiosity about, going to see Moscow, but at the same time, I'm kind of squeamish about going there, man, because hey, Moscow could be, pretty outrageous, on a racism tip. And he said, man, listen, that hasn't been my experience. That hasn't been mine and my daughter's experience. We went there, and we've been there. We've gone to see. We've gone to see a ballet show there. We walked around the city. We didn't have any problem, man. And so yes, she said, well, what about you? What about here in St. Petersburg? Have you had any problems? I said, no, I had no problems at all, man. And like I said, I walked for 4.5 hours. My mom went and chilled. She went and got a massage in the evening. She went to the hotel room and chilled. I walked around. I wanted to explore the place. And like I said, I walked 4.5 hours um, the day we got there. And, people looked, some of the girls looked, I looked at them, they smiled, they smiled and they looked down. They're more demure. They're not as aggressive as girls are still to this day. Um, and at least from what I see them, pretty girls over there though. But I mean, nobody bothered me, man. You know, nobody bothered me. Nobody said nothing to me, man. And I walked right through there, and I'm like, without a fear in the world. Now, I ain't saying that I ain't saying or promoting um, living over there because the madman who lives there, I mean, he does rule with an iron fist. So so
Mm.
I'm kind of
Oh,
like,
Russia, Russia, you're
yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
Talking
I'm
about
talking about
Russia.
Russia.
Okay.
Yeah, St. Petersburg, Russia. Yeah. So I ain't recommending going over there, living over there. But as far as visiting there, seeing the place, I had no problem.
Mm. Well, a lot of brothers when they think about traveling, they don't think about I don't think many of them think about traveling to Europe per se, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
I definitely don't think they thinking about traveling to places like Finland,
Right.
or
Mhm.
Denmark or Sweden, or they're not
Right.
they're not thinking about those places, man. They're not thinking about those places.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I agree. Hmm.
They're thinking about, if anything, they're thinking about maybe going to France or something like that. You know
Right.
that's where they're thinking about going, or
Hmm.
Italy.
Yeah.
They're not thinking
Hmm.
about going to those other countries. Probably because
Right.
they think they're too damn cold. God damn it! What are
Well.
the winters like over there, man?
Oh well. Listen, man. Listen. I remember when I was
We're losing you again. We're losing you again, brother.
oh gosh. Okay. How about
All right,
now?
you back now. You back. You back.
Okay. Okay. Um. Yeah. I remember one day I'm standing outdoors waiting at the bus stop.
Nope, we're
It's minus
losing you
20.
again. We're losing you again. You're fading in and out.
Damn it, man. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Okay. How's it now?
Good.
Okay.
Go ahead. You got it.
But yeah. Yeah. But yeah. I remember standing outside in the morning when it's minus 26 degrees Celsius. So that's probably right around 8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh.
I mean, so
Ooh.
oh yeah, it can get ferocious over here, man. Bitterly cold. We get snow just about every year, at least a little bit. Um, but what I've noticed also though is that every year since then, since I've been here, the winters have been a little bit milder,
Mm,
a couple of degrees warmer, you know, per year, every year, every winter. So it's not like that anymore. Now, if it's minus 20 degrees or minus 21 degrees, people will say, well, oh, well, that's the way it was when we had proper winters. And when you talk about proper winters, my wife remembers when she was a child that the temperature, it was normal for temperature to drop to minus 30 degrees Celsius. So you talk about minus 1 or 2 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, it used to get bitterly cold here. And the closer you are to the Baltic Sea, which Helsinki, it's on the coast.
mm,
It's on the south coast, right? Um, the closer you get to town, okay, when you travel, when you get, well, I'll put it this way: there's a difference between the temperature in the center of Helsinki, because the center of Helsinki, all right, I mean, everything is built on top of the Baltic Sea, or very close to it. And so when the wind comes, catches that cold weather off the seas here, and the thing about it is the sea does freeze over in the wintertime, every winter. So in most cases, certain areas in Helsinki, you can actually walk across there. I've seen men out there ice fishing. I've seen whole families of people walking across that top ice sheet, okay, of this Baltic Sea over here,
mm.
or the Gulf of Bothnia over here. Yeah. So
Wow.
it can get cold. As a matter of fact, it's kind of chilly now for even for over here for this time of year. It's not even. I'll put it this way: it's the temperature now here. It's probably right around, I guess, right around 65 to 70 degrees now.
It's
Um,
not too bad.
it,
I
it,
could stay.
it, it yeah, yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, I'm acclimatized to it, but I mean, when you think about what the temperatures are like in other parts of well, geopolitically Europe, particularly Southern Europe, you know, when you talk about around Italy and those areas like that, it's a bit warmer. It's maybe 6, 7 degrees warmer, and in Celsius degrees, so it's quite a bit warmer. But about, I would say, anywhere from like 8 to maybe 14 degrees difference. you know, in temperature in Fahrenheit degrees. Um, but Finland, the weather here in Finland can be fickle like that. I mean, it can be cold uh, up until like June, you know, and then from June up until, let's say, September, sometimes October, you have the Indian summer, you know, where it's warm up until October, you know, it's warm and balmy and whatnot. It could be like that, you know, or you can have a rainy summer. Rainy summers, I don't like rainy summers. They're not nice, you know, because like a rainy summer is just what it is. It rains, you know, like every other day, you know, or it rains, you know, 2 or 3 days in a row. Then maybe you get a week break, and then all of a sudden it's raining again for the next 2 or 3 days, you know. So
Mm.
that's the weather. The weather patterns are not all that stable here, you know. And then sometimes you get a summer here. I remember what now it's about 10 years ago now. It was like well, not even 10 years ago actually. Yeah, about 10 years ago. The weather was like let me think, between 80 and between 80 and 95 degrees. The whole summer was like that, you know. It was primarily dry, didn't rain all that much. I mean, and I mean, and you could tell, you could tell that the temperature was hot and balmy. The beaches here in Helsinki were full of people. You know, the girls over here, you know, they I'll put it this way: some of them were scantily dressed, and of course, the girls they go and work out, they go and they do road work, they go run and stuff like that. You know, they're in their yoga pants or their short running pants, and with the little halter tops, you know, they run in and you know make your eyes get wide for a day, for a day. So if you're out there around them, yeah, if you understand.
Somebody, brother Sir Anthony, he wanted to know. He said he got here late, but he wants to know: has Brother Ingram discussed New York? Does he miss it? Do you miss the states? Do you miss being here?
I have to say that yeah, sometimes I really do. And the reason why I miss it is because you know when I hear because I get primarily all my news from you know this laptop or I'm watching news on television, you know, with wifey, but primarily on this laptop. So you know, my mom's giving me some info, um, pops giving me some info, you know, or I'm hearing it, you know, from the Black Manosphere or outside of it, and I'm really concerned, man, about stateside. I miss being away from my parents. They're getting older now. I mean, my mother's 86 years old now. Pops is 80. Pops is 82. My mom's is a little older. It's 4 years older than my father, but he's in his 80s also. You know, so of course that's something that's something that always concerns me. You know, and I just miss being there sometimes. Yeah, I miss being in New York sometimes, man. In Brooklyn, I miss being in Harlem too. Even though, I mean, I mean, where I lived at in Harlem, I mean, that was in the hood, but I mean, I knew people there, you know. Um, and in Brooklyn, you know, my grandmother lived in Brooklyn. You know, one of my grandmothers lived in Brooklyn. My grandmother on my mother's side lived in Greensboro in North Carolina. You know, they both passed away now, you know, but it doesn't mean that I don't miss being in Greensboro, North Carolina. I mean, I developed friendships there. You know, I lived there for a couple of years, you know, and I from a child, man, I developed friendships from kids in the neighborhood, you know. So, I mean, yeah, of course, I miss that, man. I just miss the flavor of stateside sometime, but I'm really concerned about it, man, because when I hear the brothers and sisters, man, they got this, man, they got this, I don't know, man, this seemingly endless strife or animosity between one another, man. That worries me. It really does, man, because I mean, yeah, I hear brothers talk about it, they laugh and joke about it, da 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 da. But when it comes down to it, man, that's something that's something that worries me because of the fact that I know what it was like. You know, when my grandmother told me what it was like, you know, living in New York when when she was a young woman. You know, and this is I mean, you talking about 40s and 50s, man. You know, my parents, well, actually not 40 and 50 for my grandparents, because my grandmother in North Carolina, she was born in 1906. So she saw a whole lot of shit. I mean, when she died, um, she was 103 years old when she passed. So she saw a whole lot. She was a devout Christian. And she told me some stories that yeah, life was kind of rough. But they weren't a rich family, so they depended on the garden a lot for their food. You know, um, my grandfather and uncles that lived in North Carolina built their house that they lived in, raised the children in. My aunts, my uncle, my mom, my aunts, my uncles. Now my grandmother in Brooklyn, New York, I remember my grandmother saying, she said, "I don't trust no crackers," and she was dead serious when she said that. She said, "No, I don't trust no crackers. I know what it was like here, um, moving around those crackers, even up here up north. I know what it was like in Georgia. As a child. So when you have that type of strife because the law is against you and another group of people, the dominant culture of people, the dominant population of people are against you, okay? And there's no escape from that, okay? To the point now where, okay, you got black men and black women working, going to universities, studying, and da da da, this, that, and the other thing. Some moving to the suburbs. I mean, it's not. They're not in this. How could I say this toxic stew of people. Who are forced to live. This in one group. I mean, I know that there is still, the systemic racism, prejudices, and things like that. That struggle is never going to end. Um, but when you bring that upon yourself, though, then that's a problem because you can't build families, you can't build legacy, you can't build up any type of power base, whether it be economic, political, sociocultural, educational, anything like that. If you're at loggerheads with each other on a daily basis, you know. So that kind of concerns me. But yeah, I do miss from time to time. I do miss not living stateside. Of course, I do.
Yeah, well, far as the animosity between, men and women inside of black society, I think that's been going on for a while. Um, I think just now people are starting to talk about it. People are starting to put it on display. The rise of social media, of course, everything is in real time and everything in the world and its daddy is out there. But I think that this is something that has kind of stewed in the underbelly of black society, for a few decades.
Yeah,
Um, and it explains why many parts of black society are in the predicament or the situation or the crisis that it's in because of that very fact that there is that animosity. And like you said, you can't build the family, you can't build any political power, any social economic power, any type of power, because people aren't, there's no family base There's no family unit because, when you think about a society, the nucleus of those societies are usually families.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and I think we as black people, man, we've kind of bastardized, the word family, because when we think family in the United States, we don't think man, woman, child. We think women and kids. It's
Right.
yeah, it's,
Mm.
it's like men are not even a part of it. Men just coming in, drop off some sperm and leave.
Yeah.
And when they talk about family, if you look on media and you look on television and things like that, a lot of times when they do happen to mention the black family, you don't see a man anywhere. You don't. You don't
Right.
you don't see
Mm.
a, you don't see a man anywhere inside that black family. It's almost as if they expect the black family to just be a woman and some kids. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, they almost push it. It's to the point where they almost promote it. I'm not going to say they totally promote it, but they're right there in the promotion, the promotion game, how they kind of put it in front of us because they know that people are visual. They know that people take a lot of their cues from media. So when you think black family, it's this black woman and 4, 5 kids. And guess what? They don't all got the same father either.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
5
Mm.
kids, and that's right, y'all. None of them have the same father, but so what? This is what the
Well,
black family is.
but check this out. It's ironic. When I came here in Finland in 1991, right, to live, um, I remember what they're using, what they call the metro, what we call the subway, stateside. Okay, I remember going to the shopping mall, and so I got off at the station there, and I'm looking around, and I'm seeing a whole lot of Finnish women pushing around, baby carriages and strollers and whatnot, with these brown colored brown colored babies, little boys, cute little boy. I mean, handsome little boys, cute little girls, and I ain't seen no men with them. So at first, it was shocking for me to see that, but then at the same time, I didn't think far enough to think that, okay, well, damn, common sense would say, well, hey, perhaps the fathers are at work. What my thought was that, well, where are the fathers, or are there fathers, you know, living with these women and children? And the thing about it is, over here, the roles, how people live out their roles here, the roles are quite distinct. Women do tend to be in jobs where it's more women oriented, teaching, healthcare, um, in general. Of course, they're in banking, they're in parliament, and that type of thing too. They are in government. They got a heavy presence in the Finnish parliament here. Um, so I mean, they're sprinkled around, but those type of jobs that you consider to be female oriented, most women are in those types of jobs, and they choose to be in those types of jobs, and they get paid well for working those jobs. Men tend to be in the construction, the fire department, police department. You got a few female police officers. You don't have very many at all. You have very few female firefighters, though, from what I've seen over the time I've lived here. I don't see any women in construction over here. I don't see any women laying asphalt on these roads over here when they relay the roads. So I mean, when it comes to the professions, the roles are quite distinct. And what I was about to say, that the in general, it was like the mothers were seen as the caretakers of the children damn near alone, because the fathers just, they weren't getting the time off to work for paternity leave and things like that. And because the social welfare system was, it's quite generous over here, and throughout the history of Finland's, independence, especially, um, they've had, the social welfare system has been great here. I mean, the kids go from not only K through 12, but you're talking about K through master's degree virtually free over here. The taxpayers pay for it. It's not free. Taxpayers pay for it, but I mean, that's how the system still works over here. Now if you need private tutors or something like that, to make the transition from what we would consider to be high school, into university study, you may have to pay for that, and those fees can be quite high. But in general, the education system is primarily free here, and they do have a top-notch educational system here as far as that is concerned, as far as academia is concerned, as far as research is concerned. I mean, these people over here, they are super researchers here. They research every damn thing. The education systems are great. The universities here are great, provided that you can keep up with the curriculum,
So being that it's, it's not it's more traditional is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's more people are in more traditional roles over there. So that probably means that there's probably not a lot of single motherhood and baby daddies and baby mamas and all that kind of nonsense over there, right? Because it's more of a traditional kind of place.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, I mean, it's not as prevalent over here. I will put it in general. Even when you consider the differences between populations, it's just not that prevalent here. I mean, you have, for example, I know at least one, two, three, four of my colleagues, my former colleagues, right, all female. They were living with they were cohabitating, right? Basically, they were living like in common law marriage type situations, and over the years, all of them married. Some lived as long as, like, 8-9 years together before they got married. They had children together within the same family, though. See, that's the thing. The children were common progeny between those two cohabitors. It wasn't like she had, a baby or two here with this dude, and finally married another dude who was the stepfather. There was one situation like that, like the Brady Bunch. One chick, okay, she had two sons. Okay, her beau had three children of his own, right? And but her beau was married and got divorced. And what they did was they lived together for like 6-7 years, and they finally married. And they said, "Hey, listen, we got these 5 kids together. We decided to come together. We've been living together for years. We're gonna go ahead and tie this knot." That's how they do. That's how they doing things over here, man.
Yeah.
In those type of situations, yeah.
And it's probably better. It probably turns out better in the
Yeah.
end,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm telling you, they rated it as what I was reading today. They rated Finland as the most happiest country in the world and one of the most safest places to live in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So you're there. Is that true?
Yeah.
You're there. That's true.
I mean, is it safe now? Yeah. Are people in general pretty happy? Yeah, I would say so. I say that they're pretty satisfied with their livelihoods and the lifestyle they live here. They have their most people have their little summer cottages that they go to. They go to on the weekends. They go to the countryside and they go by the lakeside. Some of them have, some. It depends on how much money you got. What your socioeconomic status is as to the size of your cabin. But everybody's got one. Most people have one. They go there on the weekends with their families to get away from the noise. They go swim in the lake. Especially in the spring and summertime. For example, during like Christmas and New Year's, stuff like that, those type of traditional holidays, Helsinki is a ghost town, man. You know why? Because those people go to to the countryside. They go get together as family. They had them big Sunday dinners that Big Mama used to have back in the day. That's what they do over here, man. People get out of the city, they get away from the noise. They reconnect with the families, with the great uncles, the great aunties, the grandma, the grandpa, all that type of stuff, or just with the parents and their younger adult children. That's how they do things over here, man. And so I would say, yeah, generally they are happy. Okay, but I mean, you got your ups and downs, man. I mean, just like you got anywhere else. But I would say in general, yeah, people, the Finns in general, yeah, they're pretty satisfied over here. They get good education. Most of them have pretty decent jobs, and even the poor people that live in the hood, most of them usually have, they're working on a regular basis. They get a little extra money from the social welfare department here, to subsidize, their salaries if they're not making enough to get by. So I mean, everybody gets by here, man. I mean, homelessness here is, while it exists, it's minuscule, because of the social welfare system. So
Yeah, because don't they give you can get a free education in Finland? Is that still a thing where you get
yeah,
free
yeah,
education?
yeah. That's why I said that's why I said not only from K through 12, but K through master's degree, or in this case now K through at least undergraduate degree.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
So you can get your bachelor's for nothing. Y'all better
yeah,
go to Finland and get that bachelor's.
yeah. I mean, I mean, I mean now the citizens come, and now also, for example, like
I'm losing
on,
you.
on
Losing
refugee
you again.
status. Okay, how
Fading
about
in and
now?
out again. You good?
Okay, how about now? Am I
You're
okay
good.
now? Okay.
Yep. Good.
Yeah, a lot of people come over here to study, right? And a lot of the African brothers in particular, sisters too, they come over here and study at the university and whatnot. And they get certain stipends and things like that. So it's not a heavy cost burden, the financial burden on them. But most of the people that are in the university, you know, these guys, these ain't no dummies. These are sharp people, man. These are sharp minded people, and they study. And I mean, a lot of them study up to PhD status. Some don't. I mean, I'll put it this way: there's a steady percentage of immigrants, studying in universities, particularly from the continent of Africa, who do study to PhD status. I would say at least roughly, I would say roughly 15 to 20% of the African students here, both male and female, that study over here, they're usually pushing that. They usually have an undergraduate degree when they get here, And of course, if they're born here, I mean, sky's the limit for them. If they're born here, if they're first generation, second generation, they know how the system works.
Mm. And you can see the northern lights there too, right?
Mm. Yeah, I have to
Have
say that's a beautiful sight, man. It really
you've
is.
seen you've seen them,
Yeah.
huh?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sight, man. I've also been up north. There's a town there called Rovaniemi. Okay, and Rovaniemi, the Arctic Circle. Rovaniemi is on the Arctic Circle, and they actually have it lined out, like like the yellow, like the those yellow lines that you see in the middle of your highway. Not the solid little line, but the tick lines you see there in the middle in the middle of the freeway, separating the lanes and stuff like that. They
Mm-hmm.
have it lined out like that in Rovaniemi, where the Arctic Circle actually cuts across northern Finland. Man, it's a wild sight. They got a museum up there. It's called Arctica, and it shows like the um, the indigenous people who live up north. Like the Sami people here, and the so-called Eskimos and all those people who live along the northern ridge of these Scandinavian countries and whatnot. It shows their lifestyle, how they lived, like from the early 1900s at least, probably even before that, you know, up until recent times, and at that time when I went to see that, I guess it was still in the late 90s when I went there. And I saw that, man. I mean, this museum was amazing, Brother X. I mean, they really go into detail. Like I said, they do a lot of research. They had still shots, still photographs, portraits of people. They would run in films. They had all type of documentation you could read. They had all types of displays and whatnot. The old boats, the old fur coats and boots and all, and gloves and stuff, and mittens that they wore back in the day, and how the clothing changed, how the way they built their homes, how that changed, and all that type of stuff. It's an amazing place, man.
Yeah, it sounds like it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to keep you too long. I planned only running for like an hour and a half, but
Mm-hmm.
now that you're over there and you've been there for more than 3 decades,
Mm-hmm. Well,
do
about
you
three
do you
decades.
okay, do you think
Mm-hmm.
as a black man it's better to live over there in Europe than living over here in the US? How what would be your
Ooh.
what would be your take on being a black man, and if a black
Mm-hmm.
man had a choice to either live in Europe or live here in the US? What's your take on that? What would be better for him?
If you're a productive man with a strong work ethic, I would say Europe. To be honest with you, because like I said over here, um, people only see the mask on you in Europe when you're unproductive, and you're the typical unproductive ghetto dude or
Mm,
ghetto black person. You understand what I'm saying? But when you're productive, okay, you got education, you got a strong work ethic, um, you can do very well in Europe. You know, I mean, it's all about the connections, who it's same like the stateside, who who can put you on. If you got government contracts, depending on what you're doing, especially in the STEM field or some type of tech field, I mean, you can do very well in Europe. I mean, it is what it is, man. Because you don't have that. How can I say? I mean, yeah, of course, there's always going to be some animosity between black folks and white Europeans to a degree, but because they've been mixing, man, for so many decades, man, and people have been living in Germany, Italy, I mean, Spain, different places, man, Portugal, man, for decades now, man. Now it's all about your productivity. What do you do to help boost the economy? Do you understand what I'm saying? Rather than being a hindrance on living on the state per se, you know.
mm. So you're only considered black if you're a loser. If you're a
Well,
loser, they see your blackness.
oh, I would say yeah. I would say they they see it both ways, but it's one antagonistic um, coexistence. If you're
Mm,
unproductive, okay. If you're productive, it's like yeah, well, hey, da da da, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's black, yeah. So what? But guess what? He knows how to do this, this, and that. He works in the kindergarten with my children. I trust my children around him. Because why? His work ethic. I see how he is with the children. I mean, when I was working in the kindergarten, there's been times when, the mother's been in a hurry. Okay. She's got a baby carriage that she's pushing because she just had a second child. Okay. Married, of course. But she's on the go. She's got places to go and she's coming to pick up, her son or daughter on the way. And I remember one time this lady, she's waiting for, her son, basically refused to get dressed. So what did I do? In front of her, I sat him down. I said, hey, listen, M, sit down here. Put your clothes on. You know how to do it. Yeah, I was talking with him and finished, but I was saying, put your clothes on. Let's go. Your mom's in a hurry. Look, she's waiting for you. because his mother didn't even take a coat off. That's how much of a hurry she was in. And these kids, like 3, 4, 5 years old, they know how to put their clothes on their bodies. That's something that they teach them, in the kindergarten, but it's something, of course, that the parents teach them at home. That's what the mama does, man. Teach them how to dress, And so, so I finally, got him dressed, stood him up, handed him over to his mother. She smiled. Her eyes got wide a little bit. He said, "Thank you," and they took off, man. But I mean, it is what it is, man. Adults and kids, man. When the kids trust you, if they feel like they can trust you, they do. If they feel safe around you, they trust you. And the mask really doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of difference. The only time that the mask makes a difference is when the adults, okay, who are the parents of these children, don't know you or haven't seen you before. Once they get to know you, they get to know your character, your temperament, how you are around the children. They talk with the teachers and ask them about you and make inquiries about you. And once the teachers in the kindergartens give a thumbs up to you, then hey, you're good to go. For the most part.
Yeah, because we all know that bigotry and discrimination and prejudice is taught, man. You're not born with these things, man. That's
Exactly.
something that you have to be taught, that bias. It has to
Yeah.
be put into you. So, I mean, like I
Mhm.
said, I talked to my man Jay Shine, and he says the same thing, because he's in Germany, and he says,
Yeah.
man, yeah, he says you just don't feel it, the way you feel it in the United States. Of course, it's there, but
Yeah.
it's just not as evident,
Right.
over,
Mhm.
in European. And it's crazy because you always hear people say, "Oh man, it's European stuff, there's European stuff," but there's probably less racism in these European countries than here. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah. Yeah. You know
Isn't that
why?
ironic?
They're all about. Yep. They're all about productivity. Okay. If they do some shit like they in for example, as Angela Merkel did in Germany, where she just let hundreds of thousands of young male refugees come from Syria there, and then they ended up groping on the women and whatnot. That type of thing. Yeah, that's a problem. But that's a
Mhm.
problem from those Syrian men thinking they can come over there and do that shit and get away with it, and realize that, hey, no, the women ain't taking that shit because they don't have to. They'll report your ass, and the cops will come out and snatch your asses up. But they didn't. But they're acting within the law. You're breaking the law if you go over there and you groping up on the women like that. When the major head political figures in the country is inviting you in, you know, welcoming you there in the hundreds of thousands, So I mean, that's why I say that primarily in Europe now, it's about productivity. Are you a productive citizen within the country that you live in? And if you're productive, then women are hypergamous. Over here in Europe and in Scandinavia, just as they are in the States. But the point of the matter is this, though: when they see that whether it's a brother or whether it's one of the locals, they got a steady job, they got a good head on their shoulders. He's ready to be a husband and a family man. Okay, for the most part, if that woman is interested in that man and she sees he's got a steady job and she's ready to be, a wife and a family woman, a mother of children, common progeny, hey, they do the thing, man. They go to the church or they go to the magistrate, the justice of peace there, do the thing, man. Start the family. It goes on from there, man. I mean, everybody's got their issues and problems, but in general, man, it's it's no longer that 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 um that race thing, man. It's 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 nowhere near as prevalent as it was, let's say, back during the times of the First World War, or the Second World War, or even the '60s. That's primarily over with now. I mean, you're always gonna have a little bit of that, and of course, when you, as an immigrant, when you move into a society, you better realize that the society is going to take care of its own first before they take care of you. But once you show that you have productivity, you know, just as well as, you know, the local nationals, you know, then when you say to them, hey, wait a minute, time out. Now I got a right to work too. You know what I'm saying? I got, you know, hey, listen, I got my degree in this. I got my certificate in this. I'm a professional in this particular technical field. Okay. Just like the local nationals here. Okay. So, you know, don't maybe take you to court because they can do that. You know, take them to court and say, hey, this, you're biased against me. Why? Because I'm a foreigner? You know, listen, I got the same skills and qualifications and track record that a lot of your local nationals do. Sometimes it's above that, you know. So hey, give me a shot. Court say, hey, give them a shot. You know, so it's more open now in Europe. Now, you know, I'll put it.
Good to hear from a brother who's actually there, as opposed to someone who's never been further than 5 blocks trying to tell you about
Yeah.
Europe. You know, because
Right.
there's a lot of that shit on the internet. You know, oh man, you don't need to be in Europe. Motherfucker ain't never been out the state of New York in his life. But
Yeah.
brother Semper, I appreciate you coming through, man, and sharing some stories with us, man. What I'm going to do probably within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to want you to come back because I'm going to gather, because I'm connected to quite a few brothers who live in, you know, other countries. You know, I'm gonna see
Right.
if I
Okay.
can round up my man Jay Shine, you know, people
Uh-huh.
like that, and you know,
Right.
so the brothers can kind of, you know, we can kind of have a round table of the, you know, brothers who, you know, living in other places besides the United States, man. So I'll be hitting
That
you up
sounds
probably
good.
in the next couple of weeks. All right.
All right, man. That sounds good, man. And thanks for inviting me up, man. I mean, I appreciate it, man. Just, you know, like you said, you know, letting people know what it's like, you know, to be a brother over here. You know, I mean, I look at it this way. If I've been here 30 years, married with the same woman for 30 years, got grown kids over here, something must be working right for me, you know? So that's why I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, man. I appreciate you sharing it with us, man. And like I said, man, look for me to be hitting you up in the next 2 to 3 weeks, man. I'm gonna try to get all you I don't want to say SYSBM, but you know, all you brothers living in foreign lands, man. I'm gonna try to
All
round
us
y'all up,
all us
have a round
expats.
table. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. Expats.
Yeah.
Try to round all of y'all up, you know, and get y'all up in here, man, and everybody talk about where they live and you know what life is like and all that kind of stuff, man. So once again, man, I appreciate you coming through, brother Semper,
Mhm.
man. Good stuff tonight, man. And you're always welcome on T.P.O.T YouTube page, you know, brother.
Okay, right on, man. Hey, salute.
Uh, Peace.
Peace.
Yeah, folks, just got off the line with brother Semper Fidelis, living out there in Finland, of all places. And from what I understand, the winters are brutal in Finland. Folks, I will never move to that motherfucker. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't visit it one day. Um, I'm actually thinking on taking a trip and checking out my man Jay Shine in Germany. I'm actually really contemplating that. That might even go down this year. You know, I gotta see how I can finagle it, but I might even go see him. I was gonna go see him. Actually, I was gonna go see him last year. Was thinking about going to see him last year, but you know the whole COVID thing and all this kind of bullshit. So it just kind of messed it up. So I didn't even think about it. Didn't even think about it. But I might go and holler at him this year, man. I might go and do it. You know, me and him, we got to chop up because I might have to jump on the plane, man, and go to Germany, man, and check out my man. You know, go over there and see what's going on. Cause see, I've never been to any I've never been to any European countries. I've never been to Europe. So I mean, I wouldn't mind going there, you know, see the sights, you know, check out the people, you know, check out what's going on over there. I mean, Yeah. I'm old now, so I need to be traveling and doing some things. Traveling and doing some things. So I might even take a trip, man. Um, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope y'all enjoyed the brother Semper Fidelis for coming through and sharing his story with us, man. He said he's been in Finland for 30 years, folks. 30 years that man has been there. That's a long time. That's a lifetime, you know. That ain't just some jump up and go and be there and, for like 2 years and now claiming the country. No, he's been there for 30 years. But, he is ex-military, so, you know, most of the people who probably I would venture to say, from talking to brother Jay Shine, a lot of the dudes who do take up residency in Europe are guys who, were in the military, you know. They were in the military. So, they're used to traveling. They're used to being in other countries. They're used to being around different people, other things, other cultures, you know. I think people in the military are probably the most cultured people on the planet, because I used to listen to the stories that my brothers, used to tell me all the time. Because I got two brothers that were military guys. Both of them did two tours, and I had an uncle. I had an uncle who was a career military man. I mean, he retired from the military, man. He was in the military for like forever. Shoot, I got two nephews who also were in the military as well. So, I've always been around military brothers, and I heard the stories that they told and the things they talked about, and life in the military, meeting people, in other countries and doing things in other countries. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, but you heard the brother Semper Fidelis. He said, you might want to give Europe a look, man. You might want to give it a look. And it's crazy, man, because I was talking to him about this too. Then we're gonna wrap up. You always hear people talk about the European this, the European that. Oh, y'all are Negropeans and y'all want to be Europeans and all that kind of nonsense. But not just talking to brother Semper. When I talk to my man, brother Jay Shine, they say over there the racism isn't as deep. The prejudice isn't as obvious. The bigotry isn't as blatant as the United States. Just like I told brother Semper, isn't that ironic? You always got people bitching and moaning about how people want to be Europeans and want to be Negropeans and European this and a European that. And I would venture to say, from what I've heard from brother Semper tonight and from talking to my man Jay Shine, over there, it's less freaking racist. So that being that being said, a country, or should I say a part of the world that's less racist, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to try to compare a country, or should I say the qualities of a country. I don't think that should be compared to shit over here, especially when you're talking about lifestyle, when you're talking about social constructs and things of that nature. I think it's a bad idea to compare a country that's less racist than the United States, comparing that country to the United States, if y'all can understand what I'm saying. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man. I appreciate brother Semper for coming through tonight. As always, I always appreciate my guests when they come through. Good stuff tonight. Um, Before we get out of here, y'all know I always gotta hit y'all with T.P.O.T's programming notes. Yeah, because we got another show, we getting right back at it, man. We're going to try to keep it going, every Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to try. Tomorrow, my man, Q-Butter, will be in the house. He'll be here, man. We'll be chopping it up. Those of you who follow me, y'all know that I actually know Brother Q-Butter personally, in real life, not on YouTube, but in real life. And my brother Q-Butter will be in here, man, tomorrow night, man, and he'll be talking about Zyx. I'm pretty sure we'll be talking about other stuff too. We'll be talking about media. We'll be talking about where he's going with the school. The institute. He doesn't like you to call it a school because it's not. It is an institute. My bad. What's going on with the institute and what his plans are for it. And I'm also going to be asking him, is he going to be expanding it? Because him and I had spoke a while back, and we were actually talking about him opening a chapter here in North Carolina. So we might be talking about that tomorrow. If he plans on opening a chapter in North Carolina, of course, I will be, ready, willing, and able to help as much as I can, whether it be financially or with some of the work or whatever. He already knows that. Brother Q has all my personal information and my phone numbers in the whole nine. So we'll probably be talking about that tomorrow as well. All right. So make sure you have your black behinds here tomorrow, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the T.P.O.T YouTube page. You Negroes know. But once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, man. The good people who hang out up in here and your good folks who hang out up there, man. I don't take y'all lightly. I never have, and I never will. Trust me, I don't. All right. Another special shout out to brother Semper Fidelis for coming through tonight, man, and sharing with us his European experience. The brother's been there for 30 years, so it's like I probably should have got him to speak a little Finnish while he was here. And for those of you who may be nerds, I think Semper Fidelis means always loyal or always faithful, something like that. Yeah, I think always loyal, something like that it means, just a little nerd fact for you nerdy folks out there. But once again, man, I appreciate everybody, man, coming out tonight, man. As always, y'all know what it is. So with that, I will leave you good folks with 3 words, like I always do. Open your mind.
House of power. House of power. House of power. House of power.
And so a community is where you control your police, you control your commerce, you control your education, you control your house. We don't control none of that. We live in a hood. Huh? Well, what about the Negroes that get out? Oh, well, say, my cousin, they say he's a multi-millionaire, almost got $1 billion.
The Prophet of God
3 PhDs, working on 2 more. Driving down the street in Chicago in his Rolls Royce, enjoying himself, and he hear these sirens and look through the mirror and see this cop car flashing lights. He squeezed the steering wheel, man. Heart beats fast. Because he knows the plight of a Negro, what it could be. And then when that cop car passed him by, he says, thank God he wasn't after you in the first place, punk. That Negro thing you can't get away from. It's universal. They wasn't coming after you. With all your millions, with your Rolls Royce, with your PhD, didn't help. That's the hood. Why do you think you never pick up the paper to read over and over and see white families travel? You think of the thousands of black cops in America. Why don't you see white families smiling as black cops shot my loved one 40 times in the back of the head? Why do you think black cops don't do that? You think they're more spiritual? Think they're better strength? No! They got enough sense to know that white folks ain't gonna tolerate it. And I will stop in our neighborhood when we decide we will not tolerate it. Now, if we was organized, which is hard to organize people who are just gonna run crazy and you don't know you're crazy. But if we were, with the money we have, and the many people who would come to our aid that don't know what it's like to be a Negro, and if we said, look, we saying, if we don't get a federal law to deal with police brutality, that anytime a cop or anybody carry a gun, have to have a license just like you do to drive a car. And if you use it wrongly, you'll lose your license. And if it's upheld, you can never work again as a cop or a store guard or a private detective. How do you get Congress to push that through? Well, you take your economic power and you call on your friends, black, white, young and old, and say, this coming Christmas, if we don't have a federal law to outlaw police brutality by law, then we call them for a nationwide boycott of Christmas and it'll start on Thanksgiving. Well, let me tell you what that means. 79% of all retail in America happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas. People stay in business all year, lose money just for Christmas, Well, what happens now? Saks Fifth Avenue, Toys R Us, Sears and Roebuck, Westinghouse. They will get the bill, and all they got to do is make one phone call and say, Harry, that's the senator, I want that bill pushed through in 3 days. Okay, it's an economic thing. It's that simple. But we have the power, but the system has wiped us out so bad.
Hours of power. Hours of power. Hours of power.
Happy. San Antonio, Lincoln 6. Go ahead. We have a suspect down, 10-4. That's 10-4. The officer's code 4. We have one suspect that's been shot.
Open your mind.
Only from T.P.O.T. Media. Open your mind.